Hello and welcome back to the second episode of today's Hell Dominance. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you're seeing and if you want to continue seeing more. Coming up in this episode, we have more fixtures from round 27 of the Betfred Super League, the closing round of this year's regular season. So here it is, the final day of the Betfred Super League round 27 and the regular season rounds for 2022. The playoffs are yet to come, and there's still one more game with permutations to find out who is the last place in the playoffs this year. Anyway, there is also other games that are going to be played, some for pride and some for bragging rights. Well, one definitely is. Anyway, so which game shall we go for first? That one. I saw for Red Devils versus Warrington Wolves, and it's quite a good game to bring up, as Salford have already sewn up their place in the playoffs for 2022, something Warrington fans were expecting from their side as a bare minimum this year. Instead, the Wolves are consigned to 11th place finish and will be playing for nothing but pride at the AJ Bell Stadium on Saturday, no doubt determined to build momentum ahead of 2023. As for Salford, they look to generate momentum for the playoffs, and that is next week for them. So Warrington's freedom with nothing to play for, as they're more of a threat than in recent weeks, pushing sides in the top 7 incredibly hard even. Against the Salford Stars resting a fair few players, this could leave the door open for Warrington to end the season with a win. So speaking of those teams, here they are. Despite the fact that momentum will be key for the playoffs, what is more important is fitness, and which is a priority for Paul Rowley, who has rested many of the stars and could give about 6 debuts for reserve stars. James Greenwood is also back after a long-term injury and could play some part in the squad. And he does. He plays in the second row. And we see youngsters like Josh Roke, Miles Dayton Harrop. Who else is there? There's on the bench, Jack Stevens, Daniel Spencer-Tonks, Henry Davis, and the smattering of players that should be able to help him, like Tyler Dupree, King Vuniyawa, Ryan Lannon, and Seleti Akawala being touted as starting in the centres. Rhys Williams will start on one wing with Morgan Escray and Sam Luckley, with Harvey Levette causing the forward momentum, as well as Amir Burrow and Greg Burke. Now for the Warrington Wolves. Looking at their back line, they do mean business, with Matt Duffy, Greg Minikin, Peter Matautia, Jake Wardle and Josh Thulis being the back 5, with George Williams and Leon Hayes getting promoted from the bench. James Harrison and Joe Bullock will provide the oomph up front, while Danny Walker is acting halfback. Oliver Holmes and Matty Nicholson will be the second rowers, with Jason Clark at loose forward. On the bench, we have Darryl Clark, Thomas McKaylee, Luke Thomas, and a possible debut for Tom Whitehead. It was Warrington that got the first points on the board, as Williams and Jake Wardle found Josh Thulis to go over in the corner. Some superb work from the informed Williams saw him put Holmes through a gap to score for Warrington in an 8-0 lead. Bright opening to the game continued when Salford hit back, when Greenwood went over from close range and Harvey Levette converted for 8 points to 6. Both sides created chances after this, and it was Warrington who increased the lead just before half-time when Thomas scored his first try for the club and Hayes kicked his first goal for the club. 14-6 up. It was a penalty to Salford that got them back into the game at 14 points to 8 as Harvey Levette converted. Warrington increased their lead 9 minutes after the restart of second half when Greg Minikin went over for the first try of the club. And Hayes kicked, and it was 20 points to 8. Salford gave themselves hope of a comeback when Harrop claimed a debut try midway through the second half, which Levesque converted spectacularly. But 3 minutes later, Williams broke clear in the midfield to race 30 metres to score, with Hayes goaling the Wolves into a 12-point advantage again at 26 points to 14. Salford were looking to get the ball out wide, but it was Toulouse that claimed the second try of his game during the second half and giving the Wolves the win. A nice little touch at the end where Jason Clark was given the conversion and Warrington sealed the victory. Warrington put the win in their column after beating Salford 32 points to 14, but Salford has bigger fish to fry, with the playoffs starting next week. The next game we have for you is the Hull Derby, and this is not the Hull Derby fans wanted or expected when the fixtures were revealed as the final fixture of the campaign, but would see a tussle between two Hull clubs that are looking to prove something to their fans. Instead of a decider for the playoff race, it is merely a battle for local pride, with one win apiece between the two sides so far this season, whilst a win for either side could see the victor finish above their rivals. Both ravaged by injury and suspension, it should certainly be an interesting battle, especially with Hull KR able to name only a 16-man squad. A battle between two teams lacking their star players, with injuries and suspensions tearing through both squads ahead of the battle for local pride. The fact that Hull FC can rely on more of their spine players than Hull KR could give the Black and Whites the edge. But we'll have to see what the teams bring out. Remarkably for this fixture, Hull FC have been able to name a 21-man squad despite having 14 players out. This is because players such as Danny Houghton and Darnell McIntosh are back in the mix, even though it seemed their season was over. Brad Fash, though, does remain banned. So looking at the side, Jake Connor starts at fullback with Darnell McIntosh, Cameron Scott, Miteli Villicajapani, Harvey Barron, Will Smith and Luke Gale, all at the back line, while Liggy Sal Jordan Johnston, who will be leaving the club at the end of the season, with Scott Taylor in the front row, Jordan Lane and Ellis Longstaff, who is here just before for his final game currently with Hull FC on loan from Warrington, while Will Gardner gets a start after his try-scoring debut last time out. Danny Houghton does make the bench, but Chris Sarte, David Litton and Matty Laidlaw are the rest of the bench. For Hull FC, they have indeed only been able to name 16 players. With the retiring Corbin Sims now ending his career due to a ban, Hull KR are without quite a few players, like Matt Parcell and Will Mayer both being injured, leaving Hull KR with just the 16 players, as they're not able to name a full 17, with their appeal for Jez Litton's ban failing. Ethan Ryan starts at fullback with Will Tate, Jimmy Kinehorse, Sam Wood and Ryan Hall in, which is usually a strong backline for the Robins, still missing a few players. Ron Milnes is being joined at halfbacks with Phoenix Laluai Tongagai. Albert Vete, Elliot Minchella and George King at the front row, with Frankie Holton and Kane Lynette in the second row. Frankie Holton's had an impressive season, so Matty Staunton will be at 13. Connor Moore, Zach Frishwick and Connor Barley are the ones that are on the bench. Both teams were guilty of early errors, and it was Rovers that were first to make the pay as they took the lead on the 6th minute. A slow play of the ball got to the hands of Rowan Milnes eventually, and Milnes' kick to the corner was failed to be cleared by the home side, and Will Tate was on hand to score the opening try of the game. Ron Milnes had the extras, and it was 6 points to 0, but the home side soon replied. The ball was worked out wide to Harvey Barron, who sprinted down the left wing, and in support he had Luke Gale, who went over for his final try for Hull FC. He failed to convert, so Hull KR is 6 points to 4 up. Next it was Hull KR who got on the board once again. It was to the 20th minute, and the ball was swung out wide to Ryan Hall, who scooted round to make the angle better for his try. Milne had the extras, and it was 12 points to 4 with an 8-point lead. Harvey Barron unfortunately fumbled another kick, but this time Will Tate gathered it up and scored his second try of the game. The visitors took an even further lead as the ball was picked up at acting halfback by Albert Vette, and he burrowed across the line to give a lead at half-time of 24 points to 4 after Milne converted yet again. The second half was filled with mistakes again, but Rovers got the all-important try on the 50th minute. Minchella found Milnes, who found Kane Lynette, who had Ethan Ryan in support, and he stepped inside the Hull defenders to score, and Milnes had the extras for 30 points to 4. Again, Hull KR went in once more, and Minchella was running the riot here, and after Kane Lynette was held up just before the line, Minchella went over from acting halfback for the final score of the game. Who needs 17 men when they get bragging rights over their town rivals at the MKM Stadium by winning 36 points to 4? Well done, Hull KR. The penultimate game of this episode sees the top meet the bottom place between two sides who will look back on the regular season very differently even. The Saints will lift the League Leaders Shield at the end of the game as they look to make history with a 4th consecutive Grand Final win, galvanised by the departing Christian Wolf. As for Toulouse, this is their Super League farewell, although they'll be hoping that it's a see you later rather than a full-on goodbye, and they can finish things on a high with a shock win over the champions in their own background. Christian Wolf will be wanting an efficient performance here. He'll want the champions to go through their processes from minute 1 to minute 80 and get through unscathed with a strong win to give them momentum going into the playoffs after back-to-back defeats. And with that, here is the team news. Jack Wellesby, Johnny Lomax, James Roby and Matty Lees, as well as Joe Batchelor and Conrad Hurrell, all return for the champions after being rested, as Curtis Sirenen and Morgan Knowles return from bans as well. Josh Sim misses out through injury as the likes of Sam Royal drops out. Alex Walmsley misses out with a foot injury, whilst Will Hapawate and co are still not ready to return. Toulouse are again without natural halfbacks, with Corey Norman, Lucas Albert and Tony Gigo all absent from the squad. Former Saint Dominique Peyrou features, and there could be a debut for Benjamin Laguerre. So, looking at the teams, Laguerre does start on the wing for Toulouse, with Guy Armitage, Mathieu Juzame and Elias Bergal on the other. Oliash Obot, one of the top men for Toulouse this year, is in at fullback. Chris Hankinson and Joseph Paolo are the halfbacks for the game, with Lambert Belmas joining Daniel Alvaro and Nathan Peets in the front row. Dominic Peyrou, Maxime Stefani and Anthony Marion complete the forward line for the Toulouse Olympique. Eloire Policier Harrison Hansen, who agreed an extension to his contract next year, joins Justin Sangare in his farewell appearance and Joe Bretherton on the bench. For the Saints, it is a mix and match of youngsters and also some of their first team players. Looking at the team with John Bennison at fullback, Tommy Makinson, Conrad Hurrell, Ben Davis and Ben Lane are the backline, while Welsby and Lomax continue at halfbacks. Ignatius Party starts for the absent Walmsley. And Joey Lussick starts this game with James Roby reverting to the bench. Matt Lees as the other forward. Curtis Cernan and James Batchelor were joined by Morgan Knowles in the back three. Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook joins Roby on the bench with James Bell and Dan Norman completing the lineup for Saints. So it's Toulouse that got on the board first of all. A kick to the corner was caught by Ilias Bergal, who went over for the opening try. Saints though came back, and after an inside ball found Matty Lees, he passed on the outside to Joe Batchelor, who once again scored for St Helens. St Helens were looking more and more menacing, and after some great play, Curtis Surinam found a gap to run through, and he went in underneath the sticks. Toulouse were putting pressure on Saints' kicks, and the charge down found Nathan Peets, who went over next to the post. Toulouse got the next score after half-time, this time after a great drive by Joe Breverton. It saw Eloi Pelissier doing what Eloi does and dive over the try line to score underneath the sticks. This seemed to anger St Helens, as Toulouse were at the lead at 16 points to 12, and Conrad Hurrell's bustling run found eventually James Roby, who passed back inside to Johnny Lomax, and Matty Lees went over to send the scoring in Saints' favour. A kick by Conrad Hurrell was chased by the big centre, and he dotted down for what was given as a try. Saints were on fire again, and this time a bullet pass out wide found Tommy Makinson, and Makinson flew over once again in the corner to score. Saints got the final word, and after a great run by John Bennison, he found Jack Welsby, who did enough to keep the ball in possession to score the final try. And it's victory at home for the Saints as they win 36 points to 16 against Toulouse in what has been a good close to the season for the champions. After the game, Saints win, captain James Roby collected the league leaders shield, and the celebrations could begin. There's a nice little touch at the end of the game with Joseph Paulo retiring from rugby league. A haka was performed in his honour by players from both Toulouse and St Helens. So this is it, the most important game of the round and possibly the biggest game of the season. The playoffs start a week early this year, and Leeds and Castleford battle it out in a shootout for the final playoff spot at Headingley. It's the biggest game at the redeveloped Headingley, so in many ways it's the biggest game of the season so far, with one team set for an early holiday and the other sustains their Old Trafford dreams. Add to this that it's a local derby between two teams who have always tried to top each other, and you've got a recipe for an absolute classic. The Tigers are crucially without some key players, which will make their lives more difficult. The focus for them will be rolling Leeds down the field and finding different ways to score. However, Leeds have defended really well recently and could score from very, very little possession. This may swing the game in their way, but let's see how it goes on. So here is the teams for this decider, and it's kind of A toss-up between the two sides. You'd think mostly about Leeds being the one that are going to be the winners in this, but Castleford seem to have heart. Leeds will again be without David Fussatua through injury, but Aidan Caesar is back from a ban as Ash Hanley returns after missing the defeat to Catalan due to the birth of his child. Blake Austin is also down a doubt, but is also included in the 21-man squad. Cameron Smith and James Donaldson are both in the mix. So looking at the team, it's what you would expect from this Leeds side currently, with Richie Myler at fullback, Blake Austin and Aidan Caesar at acting halfbacks, should I say, and Cruz Leeming coming back in and making the Leeds side a bit tougher. Tom Briscoe has got his place due to the suspended Fussatua, with Zach Hardacre going to the centres with Liam Sutcliffe. Mikkel Edaletsky and Matt Pryor are the forward men, while James Bentley, Reece Martin, whose kicking has been superb recently, and Zane Tetavano completing the lineup. Brad Dwyer is expected to cause havoc from the bench like he normally does for oppositions, and Cameron Smith, Morgan Gannon, who is unlucky to be missing out to be honest, as he's been really good this year, is joined by Jared O'Connor on the bench. Castleford Tigers, Jake Malmos again starts at fullback, with Beretta Faraimo, Alex Sutcliffe, Mahe Fanua and Darrell Alforts completing the back line. Alforts is rumoured to be on his way to the Rhinos at the end of the year. Greg Eden starts again at standoff, with Paul McShane partnering in this time due to the injury of Danny Richardson last time out. George Griffin and Sue Matagi are in the starting lineup with Adam Milner in the front row. George Lawler and Alex Mellor are the second row partners. Joe Westerman is loose forward. No Liam Watt in the side due to suspension yet again, with Danny Smith, Brad Martin, Sam Hall and Kane Robb completing a young and relatively inexperienced bench. It was started with Leeds on the attack, and after a short ball to Zane Tetavano was not taken in, Castleford started to attack, and it was Jake Malmo who was causing all the issues. He was getting the offload off to Mahe Fanua, who ended up going down the pitch, batting off players like Richie Myler and Liam Sutcliffe to try and get into the field. James Bentley held down for too long, and also interference at the halfback. A penalty went to Castleford for possibly the opening points of the game. Paul McShane added the extras with his left foot to make it 2-0 after 51 minutes. There was nothing in the first half apart from errors and a Sue Matagi sin binning for Castleford. The next points of the game went to Castleford yet again. After Leeds tried to slow the ball down, a ball back inside found Jake Malmo, who raced his way from about halfway line to score in the right corner. Castleford had the lead at 6-0. They would look happy, the fans. They thought they were going to the playoffs in this low-scoring game. McShane added the extras, and it was 8-0 to Castleford. Here is that conversion. Right on the money for his 5th kick of the season. 25 minutes to go. Can Leeds come back? Well, they tried, and they huffed and they puffed as much as they can. Castleford's defence was fierce. 9 minutes to go, a penalty was given to Leeds right on the goal line. Reece Martin adds the extras to give Leeds some points on the scoreboard. 8-2 to the away side. Still unsure if Leeds can get into it, but the fans are thinking this might be the start. Castleford on the 5th tackle clear the ball with 5 minutes to go. and Richie Myler fields it. He passes out wide for Zach Hardacre, which initially was a nothing ball, but Hardacre found a gap and he broke into the Castleford half. With Cruz leaving in support, he passed it inside to his captain and he scored the equalising try, as Reece Martin was never going to miss from there. Excellent play. Here is that conversion. He's in the form of his life at the moment with the boot, Reece Martin. Leeds started to get some momentum coming to the end of the game. After Matt Pryor was held up just before or just over halfway line, Leeds broke, and a half break from Olympique found Richie Myler, and he found Aidan Caesar to score right to the posts. The referee gives it, and Leeds are in the lead for the first time in the game. 12 points to 8. Great support play, great half break from Olympique, and Aidan Caesar finds himself on the end of a flowing move. Could have been so much better for Cass as they got a convert. Well, they attempted a drop goal a couple of minutes before, but Greg Eden's attempt went wide, and Reece Martin finished off the scoring at the full-time whistle. In this tough, tight counter, Leeds are the ones that get over the line for the final playoff berth as they beat Castleford Tigers 14 points to 8. So it's Leeds Rhinos who join St Helens, Wigan, Huddersfield, Castleford Dragons, Salford Red Devils in the playoffs. Dales 5 will be looking over their shoulder at Leeds Rhinos, as Leeds have created some fantastic momentum since Rowan Smith has taken over. Yes, there has been some blips along the way, and he has worked very, very well with the players that he has. Injuries and suspensions come to the fore yet again for Leeds, and they've done really a fantastic job, and possibly an outside shot for the grand final. Most of these players have something to play for in their final games with Leeds Rhinos, due to players like Brad Dwyer and Liam Sutcliffe leaving the club at the end of the year. It's going to be a good motivation for them, but let's see who they have in the playoff picture. So the playoff picture looks like this, with week 1 has the eliminators as Castleford Dragons face Leeds Rhinos in the Stade Brutus, which kicks off Friday the 9th of September, 8 o'clock in the UK. Huddersfield Giants face Salford Red Devils in the Ian Watson Derby on Saturday the September the 10th at 1 PM. That one will be shown on Channel 4, I believe, before the winners of those two games go on to face Wigan and St Helens respectively. Wigan Warriors will face the winners of the Dragons versus Rhinos, while Saints have got the Ian Watson Derby winners. Then the winners of those two games go on to the grand final on Saturday the 24th of September at Old Trafford to be crowned the Super League grand final winners. And that's it for another episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share this video worldwide, as well as clicking that notification bell for any updates on new videos that may be coming your way. Tell me what your thoughts are of today's episode in the comment section below. It's open for you guys to go to town on, but please be respectful. What was your game of the day? It was a nervy affair at Leeds, but they got it done. Castleford playing their part. Really proud of the performances. They should be up for the rest of the season. So St Helens went out in style, despite Toulouse causing them some issues. Salford getting upended by Warrington. Who saw that coming? Well, I did a little. There's a little rumour that they wanted the better draw. And the whole derby, what an epic. Hull KR are 2 wins to 1 for the season, and the last game of the season sees Hull KR the victorious. Hull FC will have to wait until February at the earliest to get their revenge. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to share this video worldwide. I will now wish you all the best, so please stay safe, and I'll see you in the next episode.